All right, what is up? My name is Brandon and I work on the Inventables team. And today we are going to be making a cabinet, and specifically we're going to be using our Cabinetmaker software. And we really believe this software combined with the X-Carve Pro is the easiest as well as fastest option for you to go from idea to actually having a finished product. Because we've really tried to make this as simple as possible, but also give you all the options that you need. Now, a quick caveat before we get going, the software is constantly being updated and new features are being added as we're talking to professional cabinet makers. So it might look a little bit different than what I'm going through right now, but the general functionality is going to be the same. And for this example, we're going to be doing just a single base cabinet. So you can build out an entire kitchen, and at the end of the video I'll show you a quick demo of what that looks like. But for this we're just going to do a single cabinet, and I want you to see how fast we can do it. So we're going to time it. All right, so we've got a timer. Let's jump into it. So if you head over to easel, we are going to start a new project. You want to make sure and select this cabinet tab, and then I am going to go into this empty room. And this room can contain a ton of different cabinets. This would be like a full kitchen build out, but it can also be a single cabinet as well. You basically see we have this split up into 3 different sections. Over here on the left is our room. So you can set the dimensions for the room, as well as you're gonna add in the cabinets either to the wall or to the base. Then on the right side, these are going to be like project-wide or room-wide settings. So what's the construction method you're gonna use throughout, if you're gonna use a toe kick, what the backs looks like, as well as the materials. But before we do any of that, let's jump in and add a cabinet. To do that, we're gonna do a base cabinet. I'm just gonna hit that plus right there. And then you see a bunch of different options. I want to do a frameless base cabinet with doors. Now you can see that we've got our cabinet. I do want to select a few project-wide things. First, we want to use blind dados. And then I want to do a solid top. Then I can also adjust the toe kick as needed. I do want the toe kick, those dimensions are fine. And basically all the dimensions that are already on there are like stock for like a basic cabinet. So we're really not gonna adjust them too much. And then for the material, I am gonna be using plywood. It's gonna be 3/4 of an inch thick. One thing I do wanna select is we are going to be using, for our front, we're gonna be using a shaker style. So you can see we're gonna have that inset. And the machine is actually going to carve the shaker door. And I've done a full video on what that process looks like. I actually wasn't using this software, so this makes it even easier. But one thing with that, since I'm using plywood, you're not really gonna carve into the plywood for your door. A lot of times you're just gonna make that out of MDF or some type of solid material. So because of that, if I come up here, I am unchecking the same box material because I want my door to be MDF. And you can see that changes the color. Now the finishes is really handy, especially if you're showing this to clients. You can set what you want these to look like, especially if these are gonna be painted. So let's say we wanna make these like a blue on the doors and blue on the boxes, and we have a nice blue cabinet. But I'm actually going to take this off for right now, just to keep it cleaner for you guys. But to actually jump into the settings for this cabinet, I'm gonna click the cabinet right over here. You can see when we do that, it zooms in, and now we have a bunch of different dimensions. I'm going to change my width. I'm gonna make it a little bit skinnier. We're gonna go 14 inches. The height's gonna stay the same, and the depth is going to stay the same as well. And then for the front, you can change the way it works. You can do it as an overlay, which it is right now, or an inset. So you can see the doors are inset. I'm gonna keep them overlay. You can also add in your hinge. So it automatically sets to the Bloom 100-degree full overlay. What's nice about that is it can give you the hinge holes. So that's not something you're gonna have to drill afterwards. And I'll show you what those look like here in a second. We're gonna go ahead and go down here to the bottom and add in shelves. So I'm gonna do 2 shelves, which you can't see, but if you do wanna see inside, if you hit this additional view settings at the bottom, you can hit explode. It pops everything out. You can see what is going on. An example of those hinge holes also are right over here on this left wall. You can see those right here. Those are going to be, if I toggle that on and off, that is super handy. You don't have to do all of that afterwards. Everything is all lined up for you. All right, I'm going to unexplode that. Okay, so now that we're done with our design, we need to put it into a format that the CNC can cut out. Basically, we gotta take all these pieces and put them flat onto a sheet of plywood. To do that, we are going to nest all the pieces together. The software is automatically gonna figure out what's the best place to put all of these pieces on whatever material that you're using. And in our case, if I come up here to nest, we are going to be using a 4 foot by 4 foot sheet of plywood, as well as a 4 foot by 4 foot sheet of MDF. MDF. Remember that the doors are going to be different than the case for the cabinet. I'm going to keep the space between parts and the margin around the workpiece the same, and I'm going to go ahead and hit replace existing workpieces. It's a new project, so you shouldn't have to do that, but if you are making changes and you want to erase everything you had before, just hit replace. Now at this point, it brings us into easel, which if you've used our machines before or if you've used easel at all before, this is going to be a little bit more familiar for you, but if you haven't, that's totally fine. Over here on the left, this is where you can make changes to your design, so I can move this around. And you can see as I'm making these changes, I'm getting a real-time preview over on the right side. Now at the bottom, we've got our different workpieces. This could be collapsed, and if that is, just make sure and bring it back up. This is our MDF piece right here. You can see our material is up here at the top. We're using 48 by 48 by 0.75. But then if I click over to these workpieces, these are all birch plywood. So that is how it's going to split everything up, and you can see we have all of our parts already in there. They're all labeled for us, so we are going to be good to go. Now at this point, all we need to do is throw material on the machine, which I've got some right here. Clamp everything down and run through the machine setup. And to do that, you just come up here to the carve menu and go step by step how to actually cut this out. I'm going to be using this 1/4 inch upcut bit. And you can see I've got our cut settings that are automatically brought in here, but you can probably ramp those up a good bit. I typically run mine at like 250, a plunge rate of about 50, and a depth per pass of 0.25 inches. And when I do that, if I hit simulate, and this is just on this first panel right here, so these are 3 parts, you can see that is going to take me 6 minutes. Okay, so now that we've got the design done, we're gonna go ahead and load our material. And from there, I'm gonna run through the setup menu and actually cut out our pieces. These are gonna be on 2 different sheets. So we have a sheet of 3/4 inch plywood, as well as a sheet of 3/4 inch MDF. Now this part of the process isn't in real time. I have sped this up. But you can see here at the end, these are the real-time numbers for the design, for the setup, and the different cuts. And you can see we're talking about an hour, and that was reflected even in the estimates that we were seeing at the very beginning. So when you're doing different designs and different cabinets, you can kind of get an idea of the amount of time it's going to take for your machine. So overall, this doesn't take much time whatsoever to go from no design to having a finished design to having finished cut parts. And like I said at the beginning, this is just a single cabinet. You can build out a full kitchen. In fact, if I come back over to this guy, I'm just gonna add in a bunch more base cabinets. And to show you how to get to those, I'm gonna hit show all cabinets. And I am just gonna add in some more base cabinets. I'm just gonna copy what I've already got. So you can see I'm adding those in. And I can also add in different types of cabinets if I want. Let's say we've got a base cabinet, it's gonna be a sink. And then I wanna add in a few more. And then let's go ahead and add in some wall cabinets. We're going to do wall cabinets, and we're going to make this one 14 inches to match our bottom. Go back to show all cabinets, and just duplicate those across. And then let's say we do like a vent hood right there, so we're going to make a gap equal to our sink, and our sink is 30 inches, so we're going to make our gap, if I click into that, 30 inches. Go back out to show cabinets, and then duplicate a couple more. And you can see how quickly you can build out a kitchen design. Where again, at the project settings, you can come in here and make changes to everything. So if we wanted everything to be green, and we wanted our boxes to be green, we can quickly get a nice design. And if you are working with a client, you can even hit the share at the bottom. You can do this presentation view, so you can generate a link. And since I'm already logged in, I can go ahead and make comments. This looks great. Now, we definitely encourage you guys to head over to the website to check out Cabinetmaker and easel and the X-Carve Pro. And so hopefully this quick demo gives you a good idea just how powerful this software is, as well as being very easy to use. I encourage you guys to check out both the software and the machine. And if you want to sign up for a trial of easel and play around with this stuff, as well as check out more information about the X-Carve Pro, you can head over to inventables.com. And I'll see you in the next video.